Hi, and good afternoon if you're on Eastern Daylight Time. I'm Matt Natove, Executive Editor of Plastics Technology Magazine, and I welcome you to another Plastics Technology webinar presented today by Alba Enterprises. Today's topic is an easy, affordable, and established solution to multi-shot molding. It is presented by Bill Hartwick, Injection Machine Installation and Repair Specialist at Alba in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Bill has over 30 years experience in injection machinery repair and troubleshooting. He worked for Engel for 17 years, Magna for 5 years, and Negrabossi for 2 years. For the past 2 years, Bill has worked with Babyplast machines for Alba, installing and repairing dozens of units throughout the U.S. He has gained extensive knowledge of how to efficiently integrate a Babyplast second shot unit into any existing injection machine. Bill is eager to share this cost-effective and powerful technology with molders and with anyone involved in part design or process optimization. But before Bill gets started, I would note that if questions occur to you during the presentation, type them into your questions box at the bottom of the pane on the right of your screen. And now, I'll turn the webinar over to Bill.
Thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate it, and as well like to thank Plastics Technology. We would like to welcome all of you this morning to our webinar. This morning, we will introduce to you the Babyplast UAI, or Universal Autonomous Injection. For ease, I'm just going to call it the second shot unit, because that's exactly what it is. An easy way to relieve some problems of multi-shot molding. In the next 30 minutes, you'll grow to understand the simple but effective design features that help you with your next multi-component project. The UAI, or second shot unit, is easy, affordable, and established. It's got some great history. The UAI can bring you excellent results very quickly. I just wanted to share a bit of an interesting story. Matt described how I've been working with helping the people out here at Alba Enterprises and Babyplast with installations. 3 or 4 years ago, I had one of my customers ask me to try and find for them a solution. And I'll just jump on the first slide here, and it'll give you an idea of what I'm working with. Thank you very much. This is a quick screenshot of the UAI. This customer that I had was doing some metal blanking, and they wanted to do an overmold. And the current situation that they had, they were making the parts, and then they had to transfer it from that blanking machine into an injection molding press, which meant, another piece of equipment, more people, more time, more energy. They took that piece of equipment and proposed putting the Babyplast system on. So that started my hunt for this piece of equipment. This is a major automotive molder, and now, I find myself this afternoon for some of you, discussing how this piece of equipment can help you as well. Needless to say, I found the solution. We can deliver a UAI quickly from our facility. This is going to get you on in record time, as you're going to see as we go through the slides here. Please be sure to write down any questions, and at the end of the webinar, I will do my best to answer those questions from my head and from the books that we have available here. Anything that I can't answer, please, by all means, email in, phone us, and we'll go through it. And with that, I'll start jumping ahead here. Why bother? Interesting question. If any of you have been involved in two-shot molding, some of the older methods that we've seen and current methods are where you have one molding machine and one mold making the primary part. You have to take that part out, put it into the second mold in the second machine, and after that's done, you might have to do some secondary functions, assembly, labor time, this sort of thing, and it just adds a lot of cost, and it's reducing your profitability. So what we propose is that you take that same machine. We'll help you to pick the right unit, the right size for shot capacity. You have your mold in place, the Babyplast UAI gets added to the machine, and you're in business right away. Secondary assembly, extra costs of power, extra machines, extra floor space, all the things that go along with it have been resolved. The alternative method, depending on the project that you're working on, you might have to look at buying a larger machine. And that you might have to do that in the long run anyways. But at least in the short run, we can help you with this solution, which could be your permanent solution. A larger machine, from my experience, takes at least 6 months, and the cost is very high. As I say, there is a time and place for it. We're just trying to provide a very cost-effective solution that will give you answers right away. So when you look at this, you bother because you can save time, you can save money, improve part quality, and also retain the maximum flexibility of the machines that you have in place. You'll find in the following slides some evidence that shows how easy the Babyplast unit, the second shot unit, is to work with. Do any of these questions sound familiar? You want to start multi-shot molding but not ready to spend, like I said, for a large machine to find out that you're not on the right track. Again, we have a very cost-effective solution, proven worldwide for decades now, and we will help you find that solution. Do you already have a multi-shot machine available, but the injection unit is too large? The second shot unit that we supply has a wide range of shot capacity. So we can actually integrate this. We could tie it into your machine, your existing machine, circumvent the second shot that you have, and implement this, and you would know right away if you have the solution that you need. Again, another concern is if you do have a machine on the floor and it has a second shot, you might be concerned about the shot size accuracy because you've got a large L/D screw or excessive residence time degrading the material. Our unit is, you will see in slides coming up, that it's very friendly to the polymer as we process it through. So here you see a widely adopted solution. I've been into many plants that have a system set up just like this. They've taken this UAI unit and rolled it up to the operator station. In this case, it takes up a little bit of space at the front. You can also put it at the back of the machine as well. The pendant that you see mounted on the front has a nice long cable on it, so we can actually take the bracket off and mount it towards the operator station so you don't have to be going back and forth. It just keeps it a bit neater and cleaner for the operator. Portable and quickly mounted to any machine? Absolutely. You will see that this unit is connected to the machine via an interface plug, very similar. In fact, the same plug-in configuration for an SPI robot. We just have to look at the plug wiring connections, and we will get the handshake working for you between safety gates, e-stops, cycle start signals, so that the machine's integrated very quickly. User-friendly interface with your machine, which I just described. There's, I think, approximately 8 connections, including common power for those of you who get involved in wiring plugs. Self-contained hydraulic unit. This is nice. We don't have to rely on the hydraulics of the machine. We don't have to interrupt anything. This standalone unit has a servo-hydraulic drive, which is very energy efficient. You'll see a little bit further on. The only thing that's required, if you have any air blow circuits that are using on the machine, we have to supply air into it, or a shutoff nozzle if you need a pneumatic shutoff nozzle, and cooling the unit, just keeping the hydraulics cool and the feed throat, and we'll go through some of that after. Shot size range. This is the interesting thing that puts this into a world-class micromolder, is having a shot size range that goes from 0.001 cubic centimeters up to 36 grams. We'll show some data on that, but that definitely puts us in the lead for being able to satisfy whatever you need, because sometimes when you have the second shot required, it can be a substantial amount or a micro amount depending on the part. You'll see our piston over piston design, which controls the residence time of the polymer in a very friendly way. We like to say it does not have a reciprocating screw. Babyplast we consider one of the originals. I like to refer to it as the micro DNA. Babyplast with the UAI has been one of the first manufactured systems totally focused on micromolding only. It isn't a subset line of larger machines or something else that we built. It is all that we build. So all of our attention has gone into design on this. There's always nice to get a graphic on how small the parts are. Our history is really what speaks loudly for the product. Babyplast has been putting the universal autonomous injection out since the late 80s. Over 7,000 units in Germany, and we have a multitude of installations here in North America. I think we have some listeners online who have some of our equipment, and they can attest to the applications for these. Feature-rich system. It is small, flexible, efficient. We have a very robust software package that controls the machine, and again, it's easily moved around. Continuous improvement. Absolutely, we like to get feedback from our customers. This machine has been developed continually over the years with customer feedback. A lot of things are developed this way, but we take pride in what we have to offer today. And if you have equipment on site, we're always interested in your feedback to make it better. So the Babyplast system is a modular concept, and again, it comes back to the injection unit, the software and control, and the power pack. The power pack is very compact. In this picture that I've brought up here of one of our tabletop units, a 6-ton unit, the power pack, hydraulic power pack with the servo pump, is inside the rear of the cabinet. It's not outside of the unit. The control system, you can see the touch screen up at the top, and the injection unit itself. Here, what we're talking about today, the second shot unit, it's the same equipment. The injection unit's the same. The control boards that are underneath the red panel right in this area, all the control boards there are the same control boards that are in the electric in the back here. Same servo drive pump, same power pack. I can take the power pack out of here and put it into the machine right beside. And then again, you see one of our applications of a vertical machine. We also make a vertical machine with a rotary table. So, we've maximized what we have available. This is one of the nicest displays of the system. Something we take to the trade shows, gives a very nice method of looking at the cut view from the stationary platen side. I'll just run the video here and you'll see what's going on. So on your machine, the primary shot would be the red. Operator side injection, mounted horizontally, does the first overshoot. Non-operator side does the second shoot. And then we have the top injection, and it's providing the last color. And each one of these has its own control setup for processing, so you have total control over what's going on. Here we'll look at our piston over piston design. The plastification chamber, what you see here, we don't work with a reciprocating screw. Up in this area, we're using a separate plastification chamber and piston. This is actually a hydraulic piston up here, and this is our heating chamber down here. Material is coming in via gravity, and it gets fed down through this system here. In the plastification chamber down here, there are 13 ball bearings, stainless steel ball bearings. They're picking up heat from that heater band out here through the plastification chamber, and they continue the heat right through here, which is what we're using the hydraulic piston to force the material down. And at the end here, the 14th ball bearing down at the end, it is identical to these other parts, but it is used as a check ball. So we're allowing free flow of the molten material through it into the injection chamber, And when we're injecting material into the mold, everybody in the processing industry knows that you're looking at 10,000 psi, 15, 20. We can actually get up to 29,000 psi, so that check ball is doing its job there. We have the 3 heating zones, the plastification zone here, the injection chamber, and the nozzle. So there's only a limited amount of heat that we need to get the job done here. With this system, we like to look at it as a non-aggressive melting by heat conduction rather than shearing. No reciprocating screw means no shearing the material up against the barrel wall. It just makes for an easier melt in a short period of time. We have about 5 inches of stroke here to process from pellet to molten material. So the result, we like to say plastic-friendly, homogeneous melt without any shear, reduced friction, requiring less energy than a screw, a lot less energy than a screw. Take a look at the injection cylinder now. Precise metering of the injection stroke is accomplished through our plastification, which is pushing the material in and pushing our injection piston back to the required shot size that you would set. This gives us a very short residence time. So usually smaller shots like this, you're running faster cycles, but because we don't have a long reciprocating screw in there, we're moving the material through quicker, and we have the shot volume in this area that you would require. This piston and chamber can be changed for several different sizes, and we'll see that a little bit further on. That assembly there can be changed in approximately half an hour once you get savvy with taking it apart, and it's not that bad to take apart. The control has adjustable fill and pack velocity control. We have adjustable hold pressure, and we have 4 switchover methods: position, time, pressure, and external. So it gives you a good variety of how you want to fill the mold and switch over to pack and hold. And with that, we get a result of accurate and repeatable shot size. For instance, the precision that we can offer is 0.001 gram shot weight deviation. That is all thanks to this very compact design down in this area. We have excellent shot control. Back here on the rear of the injection, you can see there's a transducer mounted there that is monitoring the position of the injection plunger as we're plastifying. A little bit more about the injection cylinder. Up in this area, when the material is fed in by gravity from the hopper, whether it's horizontal or vertical, the material comes in cold. As it moves down by gravity, it's in this area here, and the heat that's being imparted from the heater band and the plasticizing cylinder, we're starting to warm the material now. As we plastify with the hydraulic plunger, we're pushing down, cold material is pushing the preheated material, and by the time we get through the 13 ball bearings down to the check ball, we've got a molten homogeneous mix. New materials loaded into the piston on each cycle, so we're constantly turning over the material in this entire area here, so there's no chance for degradation. Once the shot size is reached, the injection unit is ready immediately for the next cycle. Residence time here is kept to a minimum, absolutely. Looking at the 2-stage piston injection unit with non-return valve here, we're going to talk a little bit about this ball check. I think you'll find that this is one of the nicest keys to our system. A little bit of dialogue here about the importance of how the ball valve is doing its job, but the most important thing to impart is that this ball check is allowing this molten material to pass through a very small area here and push the injection piston back. And again, when we're injecting, we're getting up to 29,000 psi here, and it's doing its job sealing off right there. Easily accessible, very low cost for maintenance. And then now we'll jump in and take a look at the bigger picture. So you see on the left-hand side here, we have a standard reciprocating screw design with a 3-piece screw tip and check ring. being compared to the Babyplast system. On the conventional non-return, we're looking at a 14 millimeter diameter screw here, which is, and if anybody who spends time working on machines, you know we're already talking about a very small screw diameter here. We have a screw tip on the front, screw tip and check ring assembly. This check ring takes up 2 millimeters of travel to seat. And check rings can be one of the biggest things to give trouble with variation. When you're in smaller micromolding applications, we have to pay attention even closer. So with that 2 millimeters, we can get a variation of material up to 0.3 cubic centimeters. Now if we take the Babyplast system and make a comparison here, you can see we've added in the stroke of the ball check is 0.5 millimeters. So again, as that material comes through, it passes into the injection. We start injecting with the piston. It's pushing back. Within half a millimeter, it's seated. And we've found repeatability in this area here, 0.05 cubic centimeters, allowing us a very tight shot control. This all adds up to accuracy and reproducibility. We'll take a look at residence time. Again, we'll do the comparison of standard system versus the Babyplast. Again, material being fed in to the reciprocating screw, feed, compression, and metering. We have the shearing going on here, and also the L over D, length over diameter of the reciprocating screw. It has to move that shot load along. Anybody who's sizing machines is always paying attention to the project that you're running, what's the shot size, and trying to size this screw accurately so you don't get too long a residence time. So if we take a look here, on a standard screw, or let's say a standard application with a reciprocating screw, we got a 12 millimeter screw, 26 cubic centimeter volume, 18 millimeter, 42 cubic centimeter volume. There's a 14 millimeter screw with 34 cubic centimeters. Now we'll take a look at the comparison. Over on the Babyplast, 10 millimeter, 4 cubic centimeters, as opposed to 26 on their 12. 14 millimeter, here's direct comparison, 9 cubic centimeters of volume versus 34. So absolutely, we have very good control of the melt and the residence time inside of our injection unit. Temperature profiling, interesting topic. Again, we'll look at the status quo. We're going to compare the conventional 3-zone, as in feed, compression, and metering. Here, we've got a number of heating zones, and a very typical setup for ours is 3 heat zones on our one on the plastification system, one on the injection chamber, and one on the nozzle. So reduced components, and what we like to think is tighter control. Common setup, a lot of people like to go cold, start with a cooler temperature at the feed throat and then rise up. Some people like to have a straight flat profile, but the point is, when you make the comparison, what we look at here again is just 3 heat zones to deal with. Now, what we do with Babyplast, because we only have a very short stroke here because of our reduced residence time, we have to take that pelletized material, preheat it here, and then turn it into molten material here. So we advise our customers the best way to set the system up is setting the plastification chamber 10 to 15% higher in temperature than the OEM recommends. Once we've plastified that material to a molten homogeneous mixture and it gets into the injection chamber and nozzle, we advise 5 to 10% less because we don't need to add any more temperature to the material. Add-on injection reproducibility. This is interesting. I'll show you on another slide as it comes up. We actually have 2 injection unit sizes. Our standard, which is the most common, it has a 60 millimeter screw stroke, or I should say plunger stroke, and we can offer 10 millimeter plunger right on up to 18 millimeter plunger. If you need larger shot volumes, we talk about what we call a plus or augmented version. It's physically a larger unit, because it has to handle a longer stroke. We have an 80 millimeter injection plunger stroke, and we're going from 16 millimeter piston right up to 24. This just gives you a little bit of an idea of how we can help you size, shot size required for your particular application. Looking at the plastic melt volume in this field here, here is an example of a 5 millimeter metering stroke. We come up with 0.565 cubic centimeters. So for instance, a 12 millimeter injection piston and chamber with a 5 millimeter stroke is giving you 0.565 cubic centimeters of melt. You can look a little bit further up and you can start to pull some of the data of what the maximum specific injection pressure is with that same 12 millimeter piston. You can see as you get smaller in piston diameters, the specific injection pressure goes up. As you get larger, it drops off. So just things to be aware of as you design your system. But again, we're here to help, so by all means, contact us. Here's a typical chart that I think a lot of us have seen, is injection pressure chart, specific injection pressure. So showing our 10 millimeter up just over 29,000 psi. The lower end, 18 millimeter, we're down just below 14,000 psi. So we have an excellent range of specific injection pressure to get the job done, get the material under a controlled speed into your mold, and get some good parts coming out for you. Talking about energy efficiency, this is pretty much a slam dunk when you look at the size of our equipment that we're offering. It's compact. There's only 16 pounds of steel that need to be heated in this area. So that gives us a pretty big advantage. Again, that really relates to our residence time and the way we treat the material as it moves through plastification and injection. This is typically what we've found for a 14 millimeter plasticizing cylinder, 25% of the size of a standard. That equates to a 75% reduction in required heating by rule of thumb. There's going to be exceptions, but you can see the big picture here. Lower consumption. Because of this lower amount of heat required in this area, and also we're using servo hydraulic drive systems, we're using a lot less energy. So a typical system, 0.2 kilowatt hours per kilogram of material processed. Add-on injection mounting units. You saw in the video that we had a few different variations there. This is just giving us some ideas about the bracketing that's available. The unit itself is very light. You can see just by looking at it, what do we have here? 55 pounds, 77 pounds for an augmented unit. There's some good pictures of that afterwards. So it's not a heavy piece of equipment. We can use this bracketing here to mount right onto your mold for the carriage cylinders, so the carriage can approach and pull back for purging, or we can mount right onto the platen with this unit here. This gives us a lot of versatility. You can see here, there's an operator side mounting. You saw in the video, we had a non-operator side, and up here, we have mounted on the top of the mold. I actually saw, just to bounce back to a point, I saw a molding machine that had too large a shot size. It was a standard molding machine, had too large a shot size on the injection. The customer had taken the standard injection unit off, built some special bracketing, and mounted the UAI second shot unit right in the position of the original injection unit. I thought it was a very innovative approach to solving a problem. And I would recommend that to anybody that's out there now that has a smaller shot. This is a great way to handle. You look at the price of downsizing a screw and barrel. How often do you need a molding machine that has large platen area required but small shot? This is the quickest way to do it. Tuck that in the back of your mind and feel free to call us. We'll gladly look at that together with you. We have a range of nozzle types. Really, it just reflects what you need. Conical, flat, needle shutoffs. We use a 90-degree shutoff on ours, but we can either match our nozzle tips to your mold or you can build it to match ours. It's the smallest point of what we're doing here. Here's a nice shot of the control unit. We took the side panels off so we could see right through. Gives you a nice idea. That's our power pack that is the same on every machine. There's a servo motor down inside here that has a gear pump, so we get accurate control. Filtration to protect the system. The unit itself here is actually shipped just like this. You can see the mounting brackets here. We ship it like this, and you dismount it from here. There's a cable set here that is approximately 20 feet long. You can get longer systems if you need, but this umbilical cord is supplying hydraulics, electrical, and water, and also air if you have a shut-off nozzle if you have a need for it. So again, it makes it very easy to operate. The whole unit unplugs from the back, all with quick disconnects, so you can literally split the two right away. The handheld unit is mounted on the front here. This bracketing can be taken off and mounted at the operator station. Just makes for a nice setup, and then you can tuck the whole unit away at the back of the machine. The cabinet enclosure makes it easy for rolling around from machine to machine if you want to relocate it. This is just a nice close-up screenshot of our touchscreen control. We have all the required screens for injection, fill, pack, hold, temperature control, a multitude of options in the background. We have a nice display here of what your last cycle time was. If we're doing any upgrades to your system, or you're storing data, on the bottom here, on the bottom of the unit is USB ports, so you can plug in. You can either store internally your setups, or you can store externally. If you want to get software changes, we get them downloaded and plug them in there, and then you're in good shape. So if we need to do any upgrades or modifications, away we go. Very simple. This is an interesting statement that speaks volumes. I already talked too much, so I'm going to let this do the speaking for me, but we all know these companies. These are all respected companies. All of these companies provide an interface for the Babyplast UAI second shot unit. Again, they have the plug, and just roll it up, plug it in. So it's recognized, used, and it's all over. Now look at the modular solution that we have. We've been talking about the UAI unit used on your machine. You'll see some slides coming up where customers are working with our tabletop unit, and we add the UAI unit, and you can see the configuration here. So it's micromolding with micromolding. Additionally, we can supply a rotary table for the moving platen. I've only worked with them a little bit. I'm used to looking at the 500 and 1,000-ton versions of machinery that have that swinging a mold around. It's tons. It's a little bit different working with smaller equipment here, but you get the idea. Technical features. This is just a great overview, again, talking about the standard unit and our plus augmented unit. You decide what shot volume you want. We've got all the data here, talks about our specific injection pressure. We have our stroke for the standard unit, shot volume for a 10 millimeter, 12, 14 millimeter, right on up to 36 millimeters. Gives all of our data down here for the oil capacity for the tank, the power required, cooling required, net weight for shipping. It's just a great bit of technical information that you'll use as you're setting your project out. So looking at a features summary, absolutely easy, definitely affordable, and well established. The history that we have speaks for itself, and we'd be glad to share that with you. Add-on injection unit, the add-on injection unit quickly connects to the control cabinet of your machine, so we can move it around easily. Mechanical effort is minimal. Autonomous injection unit, it's perfect for complex assembly systems or even stamping. Like I said, how I got started in this was looking for a piece of equipment to integrate onto a non-injection molding machine application. The injection unit can be rolled around from machine to machine if you have everything set up. The proven piston injection unit performance. This is really what brings it home for us. We can provide a small shot, and the reproducibility is world class. Particularly suitable for complex applications and multi-component processes. As you saw on the video, it's not just a secondary shot, third shot, fourth shot. So whether it's color or material, we're good to go. The UAI is particularly useful with multi-component applications where the second component has a considerably lower shot weight than the main component. Absolutely true. You're going to see some videos coming up here that answer that question. You could have a large shot and maybe only need something. I think some of the applications I've seen have been in automotive vents and louvers where you have to do a second shot of Santoprene to make a seal on an edge. This is a perfect answer to that solution. And again, we can outfit the machines for elastomers, LIM, LSR, hot melt, MIM, PIM, ceramics. The experience is there. This is interesting. I haven't worked on a system like this myself, but it's working good for this customer. I've seen larger versions of this, but they have a cube mold here, and it's 8 cavities by 8 cavities by 8 cavities by 8 cavities. When the mold opens up, we have the stationary platen here. When the mold opens up, the center cube is rotating. And here on the moving platen, we have our second shot unit mounted. So it's literally moving back and forth with the mold, and it's providing the solution that this customer needed. So some great imagination going on in there with their engineering. Hats off to them. Here's another application where we have a 6+6+6 toothbrush mold. And this is the slide I wanted to show you. We're using a standard and augmented injection here. So here, not that you have a scale to measure it, but physically the injection is larger here, plastification's larger, and we have a bigger piston and chamber inside this area. And here is the standard unit over here. So we're providing the necessary second shot, third shot for this particular tool. Here's some examples of some of the areas that we've been able to help customers out with. Automotive, you can see, here's a nice, on the bottom left-hand corner there, kind of gives you a good idea of the small scale that we can mold to. Automotive applications, electrical connectors, microfluidics and optics, biotechnology, medicine, and pharmaceuticals. Spent a lot of time in that area. This is well suited to it. Consumer goods and packaging, you can see some of the applications over here. Applications for multi-component with add-on injection unit. Here's some more. Larger shot going on here where they're adding the second color in and some of the back grips for that particular product. On an automotive mold, automotive lens, looking at the clear shot going on here. I'm sure that saved that customer a lot of money from having to buy a large two-shot machine, and we got it on their floor quicker. This is an interesting one. Looking at home appliances, this is part of a dishwasher assembly, and this shot here is TPE, and it's covering that large area. What are we looking at? Flow path, 1,600 millimeters. So again, a very large shot on a standard molding machine, and we were able to help them out by supplying what they needed to get the rubber seal on there, so it doesn't have to be moved to another piece of equipment and overshot or a secondary operation. Again, the cost savings comes in. A few more examples of some of the successful applications that we've had. Here's a system. Here's a cell that's set up. You can see the two control units here, one for the primary injection and the secondary UAI mounted over here. And we actually provide, if you want, we can provide the whole system on a cell. There's the chiller there. We can put parts separators out here as well. I'll show you a few of the options a little bit further on here. I think it's Playmobil, but it doesn't matter. Either way, you can see the application here. This seems to be a very popular component being molded these days with some of the movies that have come out. So who knows? Maybe that's going to be a rising star again for us. We'll take a look at some of the options and peripherals here. Venturi loader. This is nice for JIT loading, so you don't have to have the hopper on top, or if you're pulling in dried material, you don't want it to absorb any of the moisture from the atmosphere. LSR. If you want to do any limb molding, you can go with a canister system on here. Pneumatic shutoff nozzle. We have experience. We can help you out with that. There's a shutoff nozzle for the front end. Material dryers. We can direct mount them right on top, so it's a JIT delivery. We don't have to convey it at all. Chiller. We offer a standalone system, so you don't have to tie it into your system. And the one big thing that I'd point out is pay attention to your water chemistry on your systems if you're going to tie the second shot unit into your existing system. Minerals and calcium are not friendly to passages in molds, and they're also not friendly to the passages in our UAI units. So we have to make sure we keep the water clean and treated. Temperature control unit for your mold. We offer a nice small unit that has worked out very well. I think everybody knows the brand name Moretto. We have a good partnership with them. Here's some examples of shutoff nozzles that we've installed directly on, and some standard nozzles as well. So we have a little bit of versatility there for your application. And again, the adapter brackets that we looked at. Owning a Babyplast in North America. You can see the personnel that we have here, collectively 186 years of injection molding experience, and we can help out with mold design, mold components, hot runner design. We look after machine sales, maintenance, and also installation and startup. And you can see right now we're broadcasting from Rancho Cucamonga out here in California. We have people on the East Coast, and if you've heard my accent, yes, you know I'm from Canada. And I'm sorry. All right. Additional services provided by Alba. Preventive maintenance. We'll absolutely help you with your preventive maintenance package if you want. Maintenance repairs or contracts, we can do that. Predictive machine maintenance, validation of equipment. We can do testing with calibrated equipment to help you jump through the hoops that are required, especially in automotive and the medical industry. We are your partner for sure. Feasibility studies, material and process tests, prototype manufacturing, mold samples, pilot and small lot production. We can help you with that from our basis here. Commissioning of machines, customer and process specific technical training. We can help with that on site. I've done a lot of training with some of the other personnel here and traveled around. Process optimization, again, you know, we're always looking for the shortest cycle time, least amount of energy, and the best part quality coming out. So we can help you with that. And troubleshooting and repairs. Here, I will provide to you a few names. The first good-looking guy up there, Rich McGranahan. I've done a lot of work with him. He looks after process engineering as well as service. Second guy, don't know him too well, but he's okay. Isabel, she looks after our office, sales engineer. Antonio is almost always on the road. You'll catch him, though, if you need him. This gentleman has a lot of knowledge from many years in the business, with all due respect. Anytime I have a good discussion with him, there's always something good coming. So with that, here's a little bit of information how you can reach us. This webinar, Matt will talk to you shortly here. It will be available. Please feel free to contact us. Call us, email us, whatever we can do. And I want to thank everybody for being patient. Hopefully I didn't put anybody to sleep. And with that, Matt, we're ready for questions, and I'm going to turn it back to you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you, Bill. That was great. I can start right off the bat. You actually answered the question a couple of gentlemen had that, yes, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available to you very soon, both the audio and the visuals, the slides. So one gentleman who wants to share this with his facility management, he will definitely have that opportunity. Now, here's one for you, Bill. The question is the Babyplast filler and fiber friendly?
Filler and fiber friendly. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because I don't want to speak out of turn. I can speak from my experience. I am not a processing. I'm not going to purport to be a processing professional. I can absolutely help you. I have great foundation in scientific injection molding, so I feel comfortable to a degree. But what I can tell you is many of the customers that I've visited are using material. My job is to find out what's going on and what they're going to do. So I'm looking at different types of material like glass-filled, nylon, Amidel material. That's one of the toughest out there. So we can do it.
Good. All right. There's a question that you might have answered it earlier, but I think it would bear repeating. What are the shot size extremes available with the Babyplasts, the smallest and the largest?
I'm going to jump back, see if I can find that slide. We still have the slides up, right, Matt?
Yes, we do.
Let me take a quick look. I'm going to say I know for sure the 10 millimeter has a 4-gram shot capacity. That's the full shot at 60 millimeters. I believe I had a slide back here that showed 0.03 grams up to 36 grams. I'm just going to try and find that. There we are. That up here we're showing a 10 millimeter piston and chamber with a 4 millimeter, a 4 cubic centimeter shot. That's at 60 millimeters of shot of stroke. So if we back up a little bit, please bear with me. Where are you hiding? Because that's a good question, and it's a critical question. 0.001 grams is the smallest that we can handle. And I think that kind of reflects that one shot that I had of the gear at the match head. Sorry, this just takes a little bit of time to run backwards here. Right around. We got it. Sorry. I know it's 0.001. I thought I could jump back slide by slide here, so. And not sure if that was it right there at the bottom.
There you go.
That's shot weight deviation, 0.001 grams of shot weight deviation. I'm going to jump back. You know what? If I can ask, I will get that caller's email, and I will commit to an answer there. But I know it's around 0.001. So let me not guess, and let me get that proper answer. We'll carry on.
Very good. There was a question that I think you've answered. Can you mold high temperature materials such as Radel and PEEK?
I've seen temperatures upwards of 780 degrees Fahrenheit run on this.
Okay.
So I'm not the material specialist, but did you say Radel?
I did.
Yes, okay. I would need to look at the spec sheet for that, but what I can tell you is that we haven't had issues with being able to accommodate the temperature. One of the key things that we make sure we look after is the cooling of the unit. As long as we have that chiller or a good chilled water source, we've got water running through the feed throat and through the carriage cylinders because the heat likes to migrate. One of the key things that we do is always recommend turning off the heat 15 minutes before you shut the machine, before you shut the cooling off. We really pay attention to looking after cooling of the system. So high temperatures, as I say, I've seen up to 780 degrees. So I'm not saying we can't go beyond, but that's my experience.
That should definitely do it for peak or Radel. Here's a question. What is the lead time on a UAI unit?
If you send me a PO today, I can ship you the one that we have here in stock. And I think we can replenish that stock. I don't want to speak out of term, so I'm going to say 4 weeks.
Okay. All right, here's a question. Can this be integrated with a rotary moving side platen? That sounds like it would relate to a cube mold.
Well, again, some of my bigger experience has been with large tonnage, 500, 700,000 ton machines where you've got a rotating table on the moving platen. I think that's what this caller is asking.
Okay.
Obviously, as the unit rotates, the mold opens up, the table rotates. Our unit would be mounted to the fixed mold half. Just knowing the geometry of the way rotating tables work, it would take some serious engineering to have an injection unit rotating with the table. Not going to say it's impossible, but that's just the guy in me coming out, not wanting to say no. But definitely would have to be a 180 swing at the very least. If we went to the lengths of mounting something on a rotating table, it would have to be from 0 to 180 back to 0. It couldn't follow through to 160. But chances are, a lot of the applications I've seen, the second shot is being done through a hot runner on the stationary mold half. So hopefully that answers the question. Again, we'd be more than willing to look at whatever project is on the table for that customer.
How is the UAI second shot unit interfaced to the primary injection machine?
One more time?
How is the UAI second shot unit interfaced to the primary molding machine?
A lot of machines, we have our own interface, which is I think on page 180 in our manual, and it shows a graphic representation of the pinout, male and female. It's it's dead similar to an SPI robot interface. So if you have an existing SPI robot interface, we can use that plug. We can reconfigure it if it's not in use for a robot. Other than that, what we can do is help advise you on the wiring, supply the drawings and the interface signals. And again, what that's doing is picking up all your safety guard signals, e-stop signals, and cycle start signals so we can synchronize the unit. So from what I've seen, typically a day to let's say 2 days tops for somebody to cut a hole in a panel, mount a plug, wire it up, and pick up the I/O from the existing control.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you can do LSR. Have you done LSR molded onto thermoplastic?
I am going to have to hopefully get an answer from one of my techs here on that. Myself, I have not. We have we've done some of the elastomers like TPU, TPE. I haven't seen an application myself. I'm not saying it can't be done. Let me answer the question in a different way. If from a chemical point of view, looking at the material types, if it can be done and they've engineered it, we have the solution to deliver the LSR material into their mold as long as they have no issues with bonding. That's
Okay.
that's a generic answer that I just made up, but I can't see that it's not true.
All right, we'll go with that for now. Can you change languages on the control system?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I wished I would have recorded them. I wished I would have recorded them, but there's about 13 different languages, all the typical German, Spanish, Canadian, I mean English. Uh, there's a couple of languages that I have to decipher. It's either Chinese or Korean. But yes, we have a plethora of language libraries available, and it's all in the system. You just have to select it.
Okay. Does the Babyplast system have a quality part recognition system?
Yes, yes. We monitor all the desirable elements that most people are looking at: injection time, peak injection pressure, cushion size, cycle time, and we're data logging it. And you can set up the parameters that you allow for your project, and we can have that alarm, and the interface would stop the machine and bring the attention to the operator if there's any issue.
Okay. And does it also have a parts counter?
Absolutely. Yep. And again, it set it up on the page that you want for your production count, and it will count down good parts.
Mm-hmm.
And once it reaches that point, it will go into alarm and bring the operator's attention to the machine.
All right. I think this might be, well, maybe not. Here's a question that's been coming in. Can you communicate with an eDART, that's an RJG monitor, or similar units for data recording?
I honestly have to do some homework on that. I've worked with the eDART in the past, and I know they have a number of different monitors. Typically, they're interested in injection position and clamp position. We have both of those available from a transducer, so that would, for the person who's asked the question, they know what the eDART system needs. Injection pressure or hydraulic system pressure, we have that available. We have the injection piston stroke, which is available, and clamp stroke. So I believe that that we have that available. I'd rather do some homework to be 100% sure on that. Where there might be a couple signals that we haven't nailed, but you know what? We can look at it from a software point of view. Like I said in the beginning, this machine has been successful from customer input. So if there's a demand for it, we're gonna look at it and make it doable for you.
Well, that actually ties into another question. How do you back up or change the software on the system?
The experience that I have, which was interesting, I actually went to one of the factories in Europe and saw an older machine get totally refurbed in the time slot of about, well, it was a morning we worked together on the machine. So all the components were replaced on the machine. We put in an updated CPU and loaded new software. We put a new touch screen on and upgraded from the older, I think you saw one of the picture slides that had like a dial on the face. We now have a full color touch screen. So that software was updated. That's because that was an extreme upgrade. We used a laptop to tie in to upgrade the operating system. But typically, any software that you need, we're going to do via a USB stick. So typically, our head office would send us whatever software version we need or modification. They'd email it to us. We unzip it, put it on the stick, and power down, plug it in, power up, and it's pretty intuitive.
Okay, here's one more. Does your machine accept liquid colorant?
I haven't had that experience yet. I will see if one of my colleagues has that answer. What I will say that I do know is the plastification cylinder that we discussed with the ball bearing design it does a great job of taking pelletized resin and giving a melt at the temperature that you want. If you have colorant that you're adding in, we do have an optional mixing nozzle, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. It looks almost identical to the standard nozzle. It's bored out larger, and it has a proven element that slides inside and performs the mixing. The element that we use, it doesn't take long to find online. It's a winning design that many other manufacturers have used. So color mixing, I don't think is an issue.
Okay. Well, I think we can call a halt there. We've pretty much gotten through most of the questions. And I want to thank the audience for your questions, and any that we didn't get to, Bill will get back to you after the webinar. So thanks again, Bill, and thank you to our audience for attending today's Plastics Technology webinar. I hope it was valuable for you and gives you some ideas on how to improve your company's efficiency and competitiveness. This webinar has been recorded and will be available by tomorrow or even sooner on our website, www.ptonline.com/webinars. Within a couple of hours, you will also get an email with a link to the recording. The next Plastics Technology webinar will be from VacuumMax on maximizing movement of powders while minimizing dust exposure with properly designed pneumatic conveying components and systems, which will be April 28 at 2 p.m. And for more details, look under the Events tab on our website at www.ptonline.com. Thanks and good afternoon.